Well, Aaron Katersky, you have been following this actually from the very beginning. Our senior investigative reporter, you're there actually where Trump will eventually arrive. We are seeing the pictures now of the motorcade of Trump and his team heading to the airport. I mean, what are things like there? Since we've been talking throughout the day, it's not really the media circus that some expected. It's been pretty low key, but that could change, as we know, once the former president does arrive.
The jail is sort of in an offbeat location, so we're not near anything here. People can't just really saunter up and have a look at what's going on. There are about 100+ type supporters, demonstrators, both for and against the former president, who have been meandering around throughout much of the day. But most of this area is now sealed off. There have been lines of sheriff's deputy vehicles that have been coming into and out of this jail, which remains open. We saw prisoner transport take place earlier this morning. And even though, as John notes, this jail is one of the most controversial in the country, with reports of excessive force by the guards, overcrowding, even the recent death of an inmate whose body was found covered in bugs. The former president is unlikely to be exposed to any of that when he's here, rather isolated in an intake room for fingerprinting and the mugshot and having his height, weight, other vital statistics entered into the system. And then he should be in and out of here in just a matter of moments. And this is a process that we've seen 11 of his co-defendants go through before him, and that includes his one-time chief of staff, Mark Meadows, who was here just moments ago being booked on racketeering and other charges.
Aaron, thanks so much. Chris Timmons, former Georgia prosecutor, let's bring you into the conversation here. I used to work for many years, live in Atlanta. I've been exactly to that same spot inside that jail as you have as well. You know, John brings up a good point in that when we have seen Trump prior, it is surrounded by his posse. He's in a courtroom. He's able to still garner the attention and sort of control what's around him. This is going to be a totally different moment for the former president. Just give us a little more color and insight to exactly what's going to happen and how you think he will be treated, because as we know, the DA has been very direct here in that he will be treated just like anybody else that comes to that jail.
Sure. So I've been inside the Fulton County Jail, which you'll hear referred to here in Atlanta. As you know, Carrie, you're from here. We call it Rice Street. And so I've been inside the jail. I've been with a client to book him in. And when I was a prosecutor, I've been deep inside the jail to talk to another prisoner who was a witness in the case. So I think it's unrealistic to say that he's going to be treated just like any other inmate. When I brought my client in, we had to wait 3 hours before he could go back into the back. While Donald Trump is present at that jail, they can't do anything else. They can't book prisoners in. They can't bring prisoners out. And this is a working jail. This is something that's got to be going on 24/7. People are being arrested. People are being released. While the former president is there, the entire jail is shut down, and the criminal justice system, as far as the arrests are concerned, is going to grind to a halt.
So I'm just curious, just as a former Georgia prosecutor, knowing this area, knowing this jail, knowing what it's like inside, how things operate, you know, what do you make of what is happening right now?
I think it's been said over and over again, uncharted waters. This is a former president of the United States. I guess we've got 3 prior instances of when he's been arrested, but this is unusual, and that he's coming in and he's getting his book-in photo taken. So I think on the one hand, they're treating him like any other defendant, and I think that's the theme of this case. You know, where the prosecution looked at this case, they looked at the evidence, they compared it to the law, and they decided that they want to proceed regardless of who this defendant is. And so this book-in process, they're trying to keep it as close as possible to how another bookie would be treated. However, the big difference here is that it's the former president of the United States, and you're shutting down a working jail just to get him booked in. So I think what they're going to try to do is that they're going to try to treat him like everybody else as much as they can, but also keeping in mind that it's a massive inconvenience for all the police officers waiting to get their prisoners transported and put into that jail. And the people who are coming out, who've reached bond, who've been released on their sentence, they can't leave that jail until Donald Trump is done with the booking process.
Let me ask you a question since Aaron did bring it up. He talked about the death of LaShawn Thompson, who was found covered in bugs and filth there in that jail. It's referred to by the locals as Rice Street. It's been plagued with reports of dangerous conditions and detainee deaths. I mean, just as I think about it and think of that one case, and Aaron reminded me of that, putting that into perspective, what are your thoughts that this is the same place with this type of reputation where a former president is going to enter?
I mean, Kara, I'm not a germaphobe, and I don't like going inside Rice Street. I mean, it's disgusting. It's dirty. It's dangerous. There were several instances that have happened in the past. One of the most famous is when there was a former sheriff in charge. They filmed a rap video inside the Rice Street jail. There were instances in the past they had to, I think it was under a federal mandate, they had to fix the locks on the cells because the prisoners were able to wet paper towels, put them in the locks, and get out of confinement. So it's not a pleasant place. It's known as one of the worst jails in the country. Now, luckily for Donald Trump, he's just going to be in the administrative area, so he's not going to get deep into Rice Street, at least now. If he's convicted, he probably is going to see the inside of Rice Street and even the worst parts of it.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.